All right, this is Jeff again here at 980 Beatrice Avenue. Just went to locate, I don't know what just happened, my camera system, it just shut off on me all of a sudden and did not save the video file properly, unfortunately. So anyway, as kind of a recap here, not that you haven't already got this stuff over the phone. So what I just did there, that right there is the main connection. And this is about 50 feet out as the camera goes, about a 50-foot run from the base of the vent stack out to the main. So what we just did there is we were running water from the next door home. We're at 980 Beatrice. We just ran some water, both a sink for about 3 to 5 minutes straight, also a toilet flush. I have not seen a drop of water come through the sewer line anywhere. So what I also just did there was did a guesstimation on depth. Because the line is in a vertical dive, a straight vertical drop from this point on, I can't locate that accurately because the camera is facing straight down. Right here, just before the Y connection, you'll see the red marking in the road. You'll see a Y connection. And just understand that Y is actually coming into the top of the pipe. It's not coming in from the left side like my like the marking shows. That's just merely indicating a Y connection there. So right here, I got about 5 foot 5 inches. And then from this point here, you drop. The last time I did it, I zeroed the foot counter just after going through this to account for that foot of run before you start diving. So you're at about 7 feet of vertical fall here approximately. That's based on the camera foot counter. So you add those things up, you're going to be around 12 feet deep at the main, maybe 13 feet, and it could be a little bit shallower than that. I trust these foot counters pretty well. They're not necessarily 100% accurate, but they're pretty dang accurate. The only reason I say that is sometimes when cameras get repaired and re-terminated, sometimes the camera reel's foot counter can get thrown off a little bit when it's not running on a full 200-foot camera reel. I believe this one is a full 200-foot reel right now. So I just wanted to put that out there. That is a little bit of a guesstimation there at the main, but it should be pretty accurate. All right, so where we're currently at is right next to the water meter, about 4 foot 5 inches deep here. From that point on, all the pipe there, as you can see, do this one more time. From basically the water meter on out, you are updated all the way down to about this point here. So, and then from this point on, it's clay pipe. I don't see anything obviously going on with it. It's a harder spot to locate. All you need is one water droplet to dangle off that camera lens like right now, and it can obscure your view. It's a hard, vertical drops are hard to get a good look at, unfortunately, but nothing obvious going on there. Now, if you were going to go and update that, you could do essentially this entire repair trenchlessly. You'd likely have to add in a 4-inch access point as the line exits the home. I would recommend doing a two-way clean out so that you can service interior and exterior. But you can do that trenchlessly, and that would generally speaking, saves a lot of money when you're not having to go dig to those depths out in the middle of a road. So right now we're sitting about 12 feet back from the main, approximately. My foot counter never counts back the exact same length as it runs out for some odd reason. But I got about 50 feet when I ran the camera out and zeroed out at the base of the vent. All right, so here I'm getting about 4 foot 10 inches. I'm getting a little bit deeper depth here than I am at the street edge. Usually you would see the opposite of that. There's some oddities that can kind of take account for that. The driveway is actually built up a little bit higher though, where I'm at than it is at the street edge. The street edge area kind of dips downward. That may account for that 5 inches of depth difference. Or get close to it anyway. But about 4 foot 10 inches here, about the middle of the gravel driveway. And again, I'm sure I mentioned on the other video a bunch of times, my green paint ran out of gas or got too cold and froze in my car. I've got some backup paint I'm using right now. It's a rusty red color. It's like the exact same color as the terracotta we're in right now. And sorry if I'm repeating myself here. I've made 2 videos now. If you're when you update this, I would highly recommend looking into the prospect of doing an epoxy liner The line has perfect slope and grade. There is not a drop of standing water in this thing. Also be aware you have root intrusions here. And this looks, based on my locates, this looks like this is underneath the house. So this is a spot here where you may very well have to get underneath the home to rectify that. I don't know what's beyond that Y right there. There's no way for me to go backwards through it. If you added a clean out on the outside of the home, two-way access, you could run backwards from it and see what the heck's going on there. It will likely send you up the Y, but may not allow you to divert up the direction my camera is coming right now, if that makes sense, because it is a Y connection. The camera is going to choose not to come through where I'm at right now, but it's going to go straight up that Y connection where we can't go. That's typically speaking what's going to happen there. Sometimes if you've got a straight run like that though, if you get a little bit of luck and some MacGyver skill, I can often put a string on my camera head and bend it and get it to move a different direction. But for this circumstance, the more important piece to see is up that Y connection. And so I've got to push out just a little further here, a couple feet. Where I just stopped there was essentially directly underneath the front foundation wall. All right, I had to push out about 3 feet from the front of the house just to get a good locate. There's the concrete there is a little bit caverned out. Where I'm locating, there's kind of a hole in it. So it might, just because you're locating through a little bit of dead airspace there, I'm getting between 3'10" and about 4'1" deep. So somewhere in that, it's right around 4 feet. That's what I wrote down on the ground there. And then some red dots leading back to the front of the home. As you can see, we've got roots coming back to this point here, and then roots all the way back just beyond the base of the vent. So, I mean, if you're doing the full mill deal on this thing, you're basically looking at a complete update end to end, all the way up to, you know, at least the middle of the road. Obviously, there's some more pipe beyond, but the last 4 or 5 feet is some clay pipe. That stuff's functioning just fine. I don't see anything obvious going on with that pipe there, but if you're going to be fixing the thing entirely, you know, you could always dig up the front yard area and do it that way. I've seen lots of people do it. Dig a portion of it, because sometimes that's more cost effective, and then line using the open trench from that point on out to the main. But pretty you know, fairly reasonable depth that remains fairly similar from about the front of the home out to the street. You know, you're between about 4 and about 5.5 feet deep approximately. After any repairs are done, I highly recommend you rescope the sewer line to check the work. You want to do that when the trench is closed, but before you pour concrete or asphalt. You want to make sure everything's buried, compacted, like you're going to pour asphalt or concrete on top of it, so you put a load on the line. Check to make sure you don't have any settling problems, and then do your concrete pours and stuff after that. In the event you do have any settling issues, you can at least get to it before you've poured a permanent surface over the top of it again. Anyway, and to recap, as I'm sure I'm repeating myself, I just can't remember what I said on the other video versus this one. We ran water for about 5 minutes straight from the adjacent house, the newer home to the right of this one. No water, no visible water came through this thing at any time during that scope. So I'm not sure these are tied together, but obviously this line it is due for some love. It's got root intrusions throughout the entire length of it, just about.